Hello, everybody. And today we are here talking about human design once again. And this platform allows us to see different perspectives on human design. We are different people, different designs, different life circumstances. So we live and see the mechanics differently. So today we're going to talk about the spleen, which I'm a bit afraid talking about this subject because it's a sensitive and fragile subject for me. I have completely open spleen, and I never knew how to deal with fear, physical fear, how to recognize fear, what is a reasonable fear. How do I deal with that? Do I avoid fear? Do I talk about fear? And on the other side, we have a very defined person with the spleen. And I wonder how you experience your defined spleen when we touch the subject of fear. Before health, before relationship, before attachment. Fear, how do you experience fear in your body? What can you say about fear?
Hi, Bar. I'm Ioan.
Hello.
Very defined spleen, actually. I have all the gates except the 57. So to say, the spleen is my core being. And just to know, I was very afraid until I was 30-something, 37 maybe. I couldn't sleep alone. I was afraid of a lot of things. So it was kind of difficult, you know. And then how I dealt with it, actually, I faced it I went to Greece to a shamanic camp, and the shaman told us about this shamanic death ritual where you go into the forest. He calls spirits, and he leaves you to sleep in the forest with all the spirits around you until he comes back. And all my life, I feared not, you know, I never feared something physical. I feared something supernatural. So when he said this, I said, I will go. No, it's now or never, you know. So I went, and it was really the most profound fear I have ever felt in my life, because he chose the place in the forest by the river, and he beat the drum, he called the spirits, and I had with me only my sleeping bag, shoes, of course, and I didn't have a lamp or some flashlight or anything. And I had my sleeping bag on top of me, and I would sit with it like this, you know. And it was very hot, and I didn't want to get out of it because I was scared what will happen to me, you know. It was really bad. So I stayed with this fear, like really intense fear, and my son is 44, so it's alertness. So I was very alert to everything that was happening around me. And then I had my feet near a rock, and every time I would get scared, like I would feel the rock with my feet. And it was kind of the place was kind of you know, like a corner in a square corner with a raised part to the left, raised part in front. Here it was the river, and at the feet it was this rock. So I would sit with my face toward the openness, of course, with my sleeping bag until here, you know, just being very scared. And nothing happened. I mean, after 1 hour of being scared and hot, because you can imagine in a sleeping bag and with my shoes on and everything, it was so hot, and nothing happened. And I felt my body starting to relax. And in this relaxation, actually, I could just look around and see that nothing was happening.
Mm.
And slowly I just let my body relax and see that nothing was happening. So I left a bit lower the sleeping bag, but I was still aware, you know, vigilant and careful and looking and always touching the stone, you know, to ground myself intuitively. Right? It's about the spleen. I didn't know human design back then, but I would do it like intuitively, you know, just to ground myself. And then I would watch the star, because the sun, the sky was full of stars, and there was a river nearby, so I would focus on the river. And I noticed how my body started to relax, you know, because actually nothing was happening. There was no reason to be scared. But still, I did not leave the sleeping bag because I was afraid some spirits will eat me, or I don't know what, you know. It was really scary, really scary. And I would turn, but always with my back protected, you know. So,
wow.
And then in 3 hours, my body relaxed so much that I could turn around, and all of a sudden, again, I'm splenic, you know, instinctive. So at one point, I just turned with my back to the river and fell asleep. And it was really like that, like, okay, my body relaxed totally and I could sleep. And it was even more amazing when the shaman came again and he woke me up. And the first thought that I had impression was, wow, somebody is waking me up in the middle of the night in the forest and I'm not scared. And I'm okay. So it was the first time that I went to be alone in the forest, and I was so, you know, happy that I can do this by myself. So, yeah, so this is how I dealt with my biggest fear, the fear of darkness, which is more darkness, or I don't know, like you can call it whatever you want. Yeah. You can call it even an anxiety if you want, not a fear, existential, but it was very existential to me. And the second day, I went there to look at the place and to feel into it. And I could really feel all this fear. So huge, so powerful, so immense that I didn't know how I could carry it, you know, for 30, I don't know, 36, 37 years, you know. So, and then I went away and the fear followed me. Like you could sense it like going after me. So, and I had to cross the river and I said, okay, no, this is the place where I will like split parts with like ways with fear. And I left it on one side and I crossed the bridge and that was it. And this is how I dealt with it. But again, I have a defined spleen.
Yeah, wow, really interesting story. Thank you for sharing this. For me, it comes to the point where I care about food, about shelter, about will I be warm enough? Will I have the right food? Because everything, every physical condition really affects my body. And I'm not, as I don't have a defined spleen and I need time to process a decision, I don't know if I will have the right intuition. So many times in my life, I ate something that is not good for me. I was sleeping in cold, and my body is very sensitive to physical conditions. And it is leading me to a story, which I think I wrote about it once, where I was with a guy with a defined spleen, and I felt so safe with that defined spleen. And he offered me to live in his land, and he was living like kind of a, you know, very hippie life, close to a lake. And I was so confident that I can live this kind of lifestyle, that I can go and chop wood, and I'm a little princess, yeah? And I was so convinced that I could see the illusion of a defined spleen in my body, that I felt so safe that of course I can wake up in the morning and light my fire and make a bath in cold water. And I literally almost bought a yurt to live next to this guy. And then I met human design, and I understood that it's not my story, that I need my shelter, that I need my privacy as a second line, that I need to be protected. And when I left this guy, when we split apart, I felt all my body trembling. And I remember you told me in the last call that we had that this trembling of the body when fear is released, you know, when there is alarm in the body. I felt like going apart from that person, letting go of that security that my mind was hooking to. And it took me all the way back to my place, into my shelter, my bed, where I felt that it's okay, you know, that I am okay. So it's interesting in your story, the length that it takes for the muscle to relax, to understand that there is no actual danger. Because when we speak about the spleen, we speak about a survival mechanism that needs to be alert, that needs to run away if needed, it needs to attack if needed. But nowadays in modern life, what is the role of the spleen in modern life, actually?
Yeah, you see, the thing that why I did tell you this story is that because it takes time to really adjust and to really feel into your body and to be able to feel your body, because the spleen takes on all these other fears, right? And it's difficult to differentiate between like anxiety or, I don't know, some suffering on the emotional side. And you tend to ignore it. You tend to not feel into your body because there are too many stimulus from outside. So actually, what I come to realize in my experiment is that if you're not relaxed, you cannot be vigilant, you know, because as you know, as contradictory it may sound, but if you cannot feel your body, then you cannot be alert, right? Because the spleen is about body intelligence. So if the body intelligence is actually overloaded with thinking or with emotions, you cannot really feel into it. So mostly what I try to share, or what I tell people and what I experienced in my case, is that first you have to be relaxed and you have to be surrendered to your body. You have to really know and to be connected to your instincts and to your intuition, and to really be aware of what your body is telling you, right? And that's actually the hard work to get there, because it seems very easy to be attuned to your body, but it's not. It's very difficult to make distinction between what's emotion and what's mind. And actually, you as an undefined spleen, is not as if you have to avoid defined spleens, but it's more like finding defined spleens that are for you, right? Which is a bonus. It's not something to be dependent on, but it's really nice to have somebody who can give you this feeling of security, as long as you're not dependent on it, you know. Because for me, as I'm not emotional, it would be stupid not to take part into life, emotion, sex, and all this pleasure. But it's not as if it's something that works in a specific way. So that's a good distinction to make, right? That and my wife is actually also undefined in her spleen, and my son has a totally open spleen, and I can see the differences, right? For me, I don't get stressed really easily. I don't now, because this is my nature, and I see people like children come to me and they don't want to interact with me. They just stay, you know, they just sit quietly and stare at me. And as soon as I interact with them, they don't want to interact with me, because it's not my role, you know. It's just they want to be there, to be in the, I don't know, in the feel good, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of not for everybody, right? It's about you being safe on your own, but it's nice to be with someone that is for you, right?
Yeah, it's very important that you said that, because I see the difference between a healthy spleen for me, an unhealthy spleen for me. And unhealthy spleen for me means people that are loathing their body with drug, alcohol, food that is not healthy, and I take it in. I can sit next to people and I'm like, oh my God, how do you drink so much alcohol? How do you eat so much junk food? I can feel like I'm getting sick by sitting next to them. Opposed to people that take care of the body with a defined spleen, and it feels different. And then I can learn from the way they move, from the way they eat, from how they give me all kind of tips about nutrition and about hygiene, and I'm fascinated. But the tricky part is that it feels safe in both cases. I feel grounded in both cases. Therefore, I need, as you say, to feel that relaxation to distinguish between what is a safety that is also healthy for me. Because not every place that is safe is healthy. And
Sure.
this is a very thin line that I'm still learning from. Because I can be in a house that is safe because nobody can enter, but is unhealthy environment. Yes, and it's different. The subtle nuance that I'm like, oh, what is going on? What is the difference? Can I distinguish between this and that?
Yeah, and one other thing is that, as you said, you can feel into this and you can see it. And the issue with defined spleen is that these people cannot teach you about how to handle the spleen, you know, because I would tell you about my spleen, and that's my experience, you know, and it's so unique and so different. Then you can just observe it and learn from it because you see it, you interact with me, you can have this experience of learning through what I do. But it's not as if I can teach you about how to handle the spleen, because I don't know. You know, it's just my way. And being my way is really very fixed, you know, very fixed and very narrow. So in a way, defined spleens cannot teach about how to be healthy, because we have our way, you know, it's just like that. You can just take this very narrow, subjective way of dealing with the moment, with health, and feel good, but that's really something very, very thin. You know what I mean? It's not as if I can give you a recipe about it, because
no, but I taste the frequency of, like, I can ask you about intuition, you know, how intuition, or we can be in the same room and you can grasp something intuitively and ask you,
Sure.
what did you see? Because maybe I saw the same, but I'm not sure. I don't have that confirmation that you have from your physical body.
Yes.
And
sure.
what is that confirmation that you receive? And what is the form? What is the sound of that confirmation for you?
Yeah. People who are not splenic always want to know how this works, right?
Yes.
But you know, the secret is that you don't know. That's the secret, that you don't know. So it's not again. For me, I just know when I know, and it's people think that spleen is just the negative, just you know that it protects you by saying no, but it's not true. Like for me, going to pick for example, something for my girlfriend, you know, 8th of March, buy a present. And now you go to the market, and really, it's really difficult for splenic people to shop, you know, because the moment that you are there more than a few seconds, you are lost, really lost. Like I cannot pick, you know, I cannot go and look at 4 different dresses and pick from them, because I don't know how to choose. Like it's too much. So you either just know and you go there straight and take it, or you don't. Because the moment that you're there longer than a few seconds, it's lost, right? Picking shoes is the same thing. If I go and try 3 pairs of shoes, well, I'm not in my spleen anymore, you know? But other times I just go there, see them, I know them. I don't even have to try them on, right? Yeah. Because if you try them on, then you have to feel into them, and then your mind tries to say, am I comfortable? Am I not comfortable? Is it nice? Do they look pretty? You see, so none of that in the spleen. It's just, you just go and you know, which is actually also very strange, because if you go and do this with the power of your mind, you go out in 3 seconds with shoes that are not for you. And still, they are not good for you. So, so you see, it's just, you just know. And it's just that moment when you know, you don't. And then your mind also knows that you're splenic and thinks of you picking something very quickly, which is stupid, actually. So do you see the difference?
Yeah, I see there are many possibilities there, and it's a matter of refinement, you know, until you tune into that frequency, until you know that it's
and it's not as if you have time to decide. you don't. It's not like you really can go and take like first shoes, second shoes, third shoes. God forbid I do this with perfumes, you know. If if I go to, I have the 44, right? So if I go and sniff like 2 or 3 perfumes, then I'm really in panic, you know. My whole system is like in panic because then I cannot really smell. The smell is too intense, and my body gets like, you know, like shit, and I need to get out. Right.
It's interesting that you said about smell, because my cognition is smell, you know, like, so my PHS is formed as a splenic person, though I have emotional authority. So I have that kind of tension within my complexity. And I was told to smell, you know, like, and when I just entered the experiment, I had no sense of smell. Like I almost was not connected to smell. For me, it really didn't matter. And as I progressed in the experiment over the years, smell was something very important to me. The laundry, you know, my own smell, other people's smell. And it comes to the point where people text me or call me, and I can smell if that's good or not. So like smell, it's something very primary before, you know, before look, before taste, before hearing. It's we also attracted to each other chemically through the smell. And it's it's a very subtle but very strong, because as we talked last talk, that smell has like there is a memory, something that evokes the memory. And it's unexplainable. And I love the fact that my sense of smell became more clear. And also regarding people, I get into a social situation and that person, it doesn't smell right. So it's not that I don't think that it's right or don't feel different than feeling. Smell, it's a primary sensation that is something is awkward. A moment after, it might change. It might change a moment after, the smell. But in that moment, it does not smell good. I don't go that direction. I will not reach out as a manifesto to that person. So it's very clever, that immune system intelligence of the body that we have.
Yes, true. Yeah, and yeah, I also have smell as my cognitive, like my primary sense, and I get you. Yeah, it's really about somehow sensing people which are dangerous for you and somehow endanger your survival. So you just stay away and you choose them like on a, so to say, sniffing, but not physical sniffing way.
No.
But it's really, well, it gives some sort of, as you said, frequency that you know it's not really good for you. So yes, I can, and of course it's really, I mean, I can, when I go in an elevator or wherever, right, smell really intense smell, and it doesn't have to be a smell that is bad or good. It's just not for me, you know. You just know it's not for me, although other people may say it smells nice or what I smell smells bad, but for me that's the right frequency. So and yes, and also it's also, when I look at my experiment, it's also about my body not feeling right, you know. It's all of a sudden something inside shifts and you don't feel appropriate in your body. So then you know something is not right.
And mentally, there is no discourse about that, or there is?
There is no time to make a discourse about it. You just know something is not right. And of course, the mental discourse is a bit later when you committed, you know, when you have done the what you should not have done. For example, I was at a roundabout, and I had two options. One of them was going through the roundabout to the left, and the other one was going through some mall. The roundabout was full of cars, but I knew I had to go that way. I was like, yeah, go this way. And the second I looked at it and I said, nah, too crowded. And I went through the other part, through the mall, and like a few minutes later, a car hit me. I didn't, like, nothing really happened, but it was clear to me that I had to go the other way, and then the mind was commenting on it. You know, you knew about it. You should have went that way. You know, so it can also happen like this, and the comment is after, and it's quite clear. But that's not the spleen. That's just the story behind the spleen and the mind that interprets what happened. Or when I had a huge accident, I'm a 3'5", so well, so a car hit me. One day before the accident, I was going around the hospital, some hospital in Bucharest where I live. I stopped and I looked at the hospital and I said, I wouldn't like to be here. I didn't know why. And the second day I got there, like after the accident, it's like, you know, just
Wow.
just pure knowing, you know. Or before the accident also, I was taking my dad to some bus station, and I let him take his tickets, and I went away. And going away, I said, wait, I better go back and drink a coffee with my father. So I went back to drink a coffee with my father, but he was starting to get in the bus. So I said, nah, I will not do it. I will go now. So I went, and then the car hit me, like, right? So, so a few minutes later, it would not have happened. But, you know, these are just after thoughts, and you can really see how the spleen works and the pondering of the mind after it happens.
Yes, yes. And no logic. There is no logic to the spleen, no logic that is possible to measure in the moment. And I love those stories.
There is logic, because the spleen is very logical, but there is no logical explanation to that.
Yeah.
There is no logic in the sense of following some don't do this because, right?
Yes.
There is no such comment.
There is no because. There is no because.
No because.
This is beautiful. Yeah.
And also there is this, people always confuse, you know, instinct and intuition with response. There's nothing to do with response. Like, the spleen is not an after, it doesn't respond to stimuli. So you know, it's more like a before thing. Yeah, response is stimulus, and you have energy to respond to it, and there is energy behind it. But with the spleen, there is no energy and there is no stimulus. It's just so to say, you know, just a split second before it what will happen.
Wow.
So it's, you see the difference?
Yes.
It's really,
yes. It's very sharp. It's very fast. It has no energy behind that, because the spleen is not connected to a motor, obviously. So it's, therefore I said, in modern life, to feel that, to see that. It's tricky. Yeah, always, you know, when I work with people talking about the spleen, I highly advise to know the undefined centers that will affect that little voice, because it takes time to train. And I also recommend to be in nature. And as you say, nature has that frequency. Everything is very in tune in nature. There is not a lot of logic that we can see, but it has its own logic.
Yeah.
And it brings me to practical tips. I like to finish with like those things that worked for you or didn't work for you in the 3-5. You know, of course, each one will do its own way, but I think we can all learn from each other generally. So what, discovering the spleen authority, or what was supportive for you? What can you recommend trying or not trying?
Yeah, you know, what was supporting for me is actually, as I said, learning to relax. That was very supporting for me. Learning to connect to the body.
How do you do that? How did you do that?
Yeah. When people would tell me, you know, breathe and follow your breathing, you know, I would imagine how I breathe. But it's stupid, actually, you know, because it's not about imagining and breathing. It's about actually breathing and seeing what happens, like that you have something in your throat, or that the air like tickles your nose, just seeing what's happening, you know. Or people would say like, stretch your arms. And instead of stretching your arms, you would imagine like stretching your arms. But it's about, you know, it hurts here, or it hurts here, you know. And it's really about feeling into what you are doing. And when I say feeling, it's not like emotions, but it's about physical. What do you feel, you know?
Sensations, yeah.
Yeah, it's feelings, it's sensations. Yes, right. Yeah. It's like this, right? You touch your skin and you feel it, right? Does it hurt or does it not hurt? Oh, you know, the muscle, right? When you do this, instead of imagining that it just elongates, you feel that it elongates, and you see what it's doing. Like you feel into it. Does it hurt or not? You know.
So would you spend time a day doing it, or like during the day, or is it something that you have specific time or spontaneously?
Well, you know, splenic people and you know, doing it regularly, like, no, it doesn't work that way. You do it when you do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's really important to do it when you do it, and you know, people tell you that if you have the spleen connected to the root, you need to do sports, right? Because there is a lot of energy, and this is how you handle stress. But then again, you have to really feel into it and see what's good for you, right?
Yeah.
So yes, for me, for example, what works for me is walking. Like, I'm a projector, I'm very open, and I know that walking I can control. You know, I can walk for 6 kilometers, and it's enough for me. If I walk for 8, then it's too much. But that's something that I know because I experience with it, and this is how I work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what other things don't work for me, again, because the 44-26, it's about water. I cannot drink water like crazy. Like, I have a very specific way how I digest water, and it took me some time to get that. For example, like I instinctively knew that I need to drink water with lemon after I had some issues with my bile, and I did it, and then I tried this Kangen, this Kangen water, which was like highly alkaline and so on, but it doesn't work for me. Really, it's not good for me. I need water with lemon. And then I did some tests, and they told me you need water with lemon. I said, I know. How do you know? I don't know. But it's really like, well, and this is, this is actually body intelligence, and you can connect with it. And of course, being a 3-5 is you try some things, they don't work, or they work. And yeah, and what I also saw in my, or the thing that I really like and tell people is, that's my only definition, is surrender, the body knows. So, and when I say surrender, it's because, well, everybody talks about being, being, not doing, being. And then you said, what does it mean being, right? When the more I'm into this experiment, I realized that being means like you are in a body, the body has needs, the body knows. So it's about really being in the body and listening to it. And how do you listen to it? Instead of projecting things, you connect to it. And when I say connect to it, you put attention and you are careful at your like usual day-to-day things that your body wants from you or needs, right? So that's the main secret,
Yeah.
That's what I realized.
Yeah. Thank you. For me, as an open spleen, I would say don't be shy to take care for your physical needs. If it comes to just to know, like is there a heater in the room or not? Where can I buy my food? I was very shy at the beginning, like not to be considered not spontaneous, but I'm not spontaneous, and I learned that I need to know. I need to know if there will be hot water when I take a shower. I need to know if it will be cold or not. I need to know if there is a stores for food where I can buy the food that fits to me. So what I recommend is not to be shy about it, and to make sure that you have the conditions to take care for your physical body, knowing that you do have a sensitive body, and it's okay. Some people can just go along with whatever, eat whatever, like to sleep without sleeping bag, and it's their story. But if you have an open, undefined spleen, and you need to take care of your body, so don't wait for other people to take care of you. Do the action to take care of yourself, although it might seem picky or annoying or not spontaneous, but obviously you're not here to be spontaneous, so it's completely okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spleen, the defined spleen, is also picky, sometimes pickier than you are. but we know that we need that. It's more obvious.
Yes, I can fall into the trap of, okay, let's be spontaneous, and I will know in the moment, but I will not always know in the moment. And this is the fear that is behind that it will be hard for me to know in the moment what is right and what is wrong. As an emotional authority, if I prepare in advance, I can feel into it. Yes, I can prepare as a manifestor defined ego, where to put my commitment, how to gather my resources in order to experience the experience and the best side that I wanted. So I cannot trust my instinct in the moment, because my instinct in the moment will tell me, eat that pizza, sleep without heater. My spleen will go, woohoo! you know, who cares? And
Yeah.
the morning after, I wake up sick. So, you know, a bit of planning can work.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Yes.
know this. My wife is emotional. I'm splenic, you know, and she needs to plan in advance always. And she comes to me, what are we going to do? I don't know. How come you don't know? I have to plan, but I don't know.
Yes.
I get you, yes.
So thank you, Ian, for your time. It was really
You're
nice,
welcome.
and I'm looking forward for our next conversation.
Thank you very much, Barb,
Yes.
for inviting me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.